Have you ever tried it? The one piece of advice they all give you: just be yourself. So, you walk into a room, you take a deep breath, and you do it. You don't perform. You don't pretend. You offer your real opinions, your real humor, the person you are when nobody's watching. And you feel it, don't you? That invisible glass wall, the polite, empty smiles, the conversations that you just can't seem to break into. You watch others connect, laugh, build a spark, while you just exist. And that cold, creeping thought begins to whisper in the back of your mind: I'm being myself, and nobody wants it. Maybe the real me is the problem. That thought is not an accident. It's the inevitable result of a comfortable lie. And Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who took a hammer to the comforting lies of society, exposed the brutal truth about this very idea. He didn't write self-help books. He performed a spiritual surgery, cutting away the sick parts of our culture. And his work reveals a devastating truth about the phrase, be yourself. It is the most dangerous advice you can give a man who wants to become something more. And most men will go their entire lives without ever understanding why. The illusion they sell you is that your self is a treasure buried inside you, a perfect statue waiting to be discovered and shown to the world. They tell you that authenticity is the key, that if you just express this pre-existing, magical you, the world will fall at your feet. The reality? For most of us, that inner self isn't a statue, it's a messy blueprint, a chaotic collection of your parents' expectations, your childhood wounds, your unexamined fears, and your laziest impulses. It is not a finished product. It is raw, unrefined, and often contradictory material. And the cost? The cost of believing this lie is catastrophic. You've been trained to present a messy blueprint and expect applause. You're showing the world your potential, but you're not showing them proof of work. And so you feel invisible. You feel rejected, not because of who you are, but because you haven't yet begun the work of building who you could be. You think you're being authentic, but you're actually just being unfinished. Let's break down how this trap works. The surface problem is what you feel every day, the awkward silences, the dates that go nowhere, the feeling that you're always on the outside, looking in. You're following the rules, you're being honest. Yet, the results are disconnection and quiet frustration. You start to believe something is fundamentally wrong with your character. But the hidden mechanism is far deeper. Nietzsche's entire philosophy can be distilled into one command: become who you are. It sounds like be yourself, but it is the exact opposite. Be is passive. It implies a finished state. Become is active. It is a command to engage in a lifelong project of self-creation. Nietzsche warned of the last man, the man who seeks only comfort and security, who has no desire to overcome himself, who says we have discovered happiness, and blinks. The advice, be yourself, is the mantra of the last man. It encourages you to find a comfortable plateau and call it your identity. It tells you that the hard, painful work of growth is unnecessary. And here is the uncomfortable truth, the part that challenges your ego. The real reason you cling to the idea of being yourself is because it's easy. It's an escape clause from the terrifying responsibility of building your own character. If you just have to be, then you don't have to struggle. You don't have to confront your weaknesses. You don't have to fight your own demons. You can simply present your raw, unworked-on self to the world and then blame the world when it isn't impressed. You are not just a victim of bad advice. You are a willing accomplice in your own stagnation. And this leads to a series of soul-crushing paradoxes that keep modern men trapped. The more you try to just be yourself, the more you become a predictable character, a walking collection of your past programming. You're not being authentic, you're just being automatic. What you think is your authenticity is actually just a performance of your unhealed wounds. Your shyness is a performance of your fear of rejection. Your bluntness is a performance of your fear of being manipulated. You are not showing the world who you are. You are showing them where you've been hurt. And here's the most brutal paradox of all. The more you desperately try to show people the real you, the more invisible you become. Why? Because people are not drawn to raw materials. They are drawn to finished structures. They are drawn to the man who has clearly done the work, who has an internal structure, who has built himself into someone of substance. Your raw authenticity feels like shapelessness, and shapelessness has no gravity. So, what does society tell you to do about this? It offers you more false comfort. You've been told to be vulnerable. You've been told you are enough. You've been told to love yourself exactly as you are. These are the modern tranquilizers of the soul. But Nietzsche knew this was the morality of the herd, designed to keep everyone comfortable, mediocre, and tame. It doesn't work because it encourages you to accept the blueprint as if it were the finished mansion. It tells you to love the raw iron ore as if it were a tempered steel sword. And what is this advice actually doing to you? It's making you soft. It's making you dependent on the world to validate an identity you haven't even built yet. It's turning you into a man who seeks therapy not for the tools to grow, but for the permission to stay the same. The real cost is your potential. You are trading the man you could become for the boy you currently are, and you're being praised for it. The truth is far more dangerous. Your self is not something to be accepted. It is something to be overcome. The only way out is through the fire. The true path is not to be yourself, but to become the architect of yourself. This requires you to do what most men will never do, to look at your own messy blueprint with brutal honesty, to see the weak foundations, the cracked walls, the shoddy design you've inherited. It requires you to pick up the hammer of discipline and the nails of daily effort and start building. Why won't most men do it? Because it is terrifyingly lonely work. There are no pats on the back for the man in the workshop of his own soul. It's easier to sit in the unfinished house and complain about the cold. It's easier to blame the world for not recognizing the potential of a pile of bricks, but the reward for the man who builds. He doesn't need the world's approval. His validation comes from the structure he has built. He develops a weight, a presence, a gravity. He is no longer a ghost at the party. He is the man who feels like home because he built one inside himself first. This path is not for everyone. It is for the man who is more committed to his potential than his comfort. You want to know why you feel so stuck? You feel stuck because you're waiting. You're waiting for permission to start building. You're waiting for someone to come along and see the potential in your blueprint and love you into a finished house. You think you need to be discovered. You think your raw materials are a final product. You are waiting to be chosen. But the world does not reward men who wait. It doesn't respect men who beg to be seen. It only respects one thing: creation. The man who stops waiting for approval and starts the brutal, glorious work of building himself. You are not the problem. Your passivity is the problem. Your waiting is the problem. Nietzsche wrote, "The secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously." And what he meant was that a life spent in the comfort of being yourself is a life half-lived. The real enjoyment, the real power comes from the danger of self-creation, the danger of tearing down a part of yourself that is weak to build something stronger in its place. His most famous command was not "be yourself." It was "become who you are." And what he meant was that yourself is not a noun, it's a verb. It is not a fact, it is a task, a lifelong, dangerous, beautiful project, which means that every single day that you are not actively building, you are passively decaying. And now, you must choose. Will you remain a passive noun, or will you become an active verb? Will you remain a blueprint, or will you become the architect? The choice is this: remain the actor, passively reading the lines of your past, forever trapped in the character of the man you've been, or become the author and seize the terrifying power to write the man you will become. Stop being, start building. Become the man who walks into a room and doesn't hope to be seen, but calmly creates his own space. Become the man whose presence is a structure, not a void. The man who is so occupied with the project of his own becoming that the approval of others becomes a pleasant afterthought, not a desperate need. Your potential is screaming at you from the future. Don't let it die as the quiet whisper of a man who was too comfortable to build. The time to pick up the hammer is now. So the next time you're in a room and that voice of fear whispers, "Just be yourself," you will know the truth. You will remember that it is the worst advice you could possibly take, because the man you are today is just the raw material for the man you're called to become tomorrow. The final truth is this: authenticity isn't something you have. It's something you earn with sweat and fire and the courage to build. If this message shattered a comfortable lie for you, don't just scroll away. Like this video and share it with another man who is still trapped by that advice. Subscribe because you are done with comfort and you are ready for the work. Your journey of becoming starts now.